Hello, and welcome to this intro to Kintsugi video. I'm Sofia-Jeanne and I run Kintsugi, which is a twice weekly relational practice space. And it can be a little spicy for those of you who may not be familiar with relational practice. It's a place where we practice at the edge of our capacity, the edge of our relational capacity. We try new things together, we do things that are scary but exciting for us, and we find new ways to dance with each other, metaphorically, so that we can create more of the kinds of relationships that we want and more of the kind of life that we want. It's super common that we have really, really deep default relational patterns that don't necessarily lead in beautiful directions for us. And Kintsugi is a place where you're not expected to be the same day to day. You're not expected to act like you usually are. And so it's a really low stakes environment to practice new things that if you practiced with your friends or your family, they might be like, "What are you doing? Why are you acting weird?" And we really accept that in Kintsugi. We accept that we can practice all sorts of things and we can practice being more like the kind of people that we want to be. There's also an element of shadow work. We work with what is not yet owned. We practice with topics or ways of being that can feel not necessarily natural, but to me, they don't feel natural simply because we haven't practiced them. And a main component of the practice is expanding your relational range. So you become capable of acting in all different ways, as might be appropriate to any given situation. And in that sense, you kind of widen your sense of self, of who you are. So you're not just an introvert or an extrovert. You're not just outgoing or shy. But you really get to play around with all the different ways you could be and to experience a lot of the uncomfortable feelings that might come up in the process of that. So we have one big rule in Kintsugi, and that rule is that we have a safe word. And the safe word is avocado. Yep, you heard it, avocado. And what happens is that if someone uses the safe word, whoever's interacting with them will stop interacting with them no matter what. So what that means is if I said avocado and you were interacting with me, you would zip your mouth. And if you're in a breakout room, you come back to the main room. If you're in the main room, you basically just ignore me until I re-engage with you. And if you're the one who's doing something and something's happening and it's getting a little too intense, so you just want it to stop, if you say avocado, whoever's interacting with you will just stop interacting with you immediately, and they won't re-engage with you until you re-engage with them. And the reason for this is that often with really challenging social experiences, either in childhood or in adolescence or even in adulthood, we couldn't actually make things stop when they got to be too much. And so having a safe word where you know that everything can stop at any moment is a really, really important way to gain comfort in going into scary territory. So the one big rule is the avocado. And if someone says avocado, whoever's interacting with them will stop interacting with them. In the sessions, which are 2-hour sessions, it's drop in, drop out. For people's first time, I always encourage you to come at the beginning so I can give you a bit of an orientation, but after that, you can come and go as you please. We always have the main room where I hang out, and then there'll be breakout rooms for people who want to practice with individual topics or go off and do whatever it is that they do in the breakout rooms. I honestly like not knowing what goes on in there, but I always love seeing people's faces when they come back because they're always a little bit more full of life, which makes me very happy. One thing that's important to think about is titration. And I use this to mean how intense an experience is. And I use this on a 1 to 10 scale. So a 1 would be, you're just kind of sitting back in your chair and nothing just happening. A 10 would be, oh my gosh, I feel like I might be about to explode and I don't know if I can take this a second more. And so we use a titration scale. And so I just encourage you to keep track of your own titration, of how hot it's getting. If you want to bring the heat down a little bit, if you want to take the heat up a little bit. And you can use this as feedback with people too as you're playing. You can say, I want it to be maybe a 5 out of 10 in intensity, and this is like a 3, right? Or you can ask other people, how intense is this for you on a scale of 1 to 10? And that's one way that we start to build our agency and capacity to navigate scary but exciting relational territory in ways that still feel safe for our systems. And to me, this stuff is a serious workout. It's like a psychological, emotional, social workout. And just the same as if you went into a physical gym and you were lifting weights, if you go in and you lift like 500 pounds in your first time, you're going to be wiped out. And maybe that's fine, but you want to make sure you have like a recovery process, that you have good self-care activities, you have things that emotionally regulate you. I love going for walks, making myself a cup of tea, doing some journaling or reading, talking to a friend, things like that. And it's really nice to have a sense of how you recover well. So if you imagine going to a really good gym session, afterwards you're going to drink lots of water, you're going to eat protein, maybe you'll take a bath and you'll stretch. And this stuff is no different. And so we have to have a lot of compassion and grace with ourselves afterwards, as we may be a little strangely, emotionally, psychologically, or socially sore. So that's it on Kintsugi for now, and I hope to see you there. All right, bye.